All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Well, folks, yesterday it was confirmed that as a New York Giants quarterback, Daniel Jones had his surgery to repair his ACL injury that he suffered in week number 9 against the Las Vegas Raiders. And it was confirmed that DJ is now going to be out for 8 to 10 months as he looks to rehab and get himself back on track after that horrendous injury. And the biggest question for me is, can the New York Giants afford to stick with Daniel Jones once again as their starter for 2024? I mean, you look at it, he's got a long rehab ahead of him. He had his struggles this past season, and the Giants as a team have struggled this year. But to me, the 8 to 10 month rehab that Daniel Jones is looking at, it all but confirms that the Giants should be looking at a quarterback and heading in another direction in next year's NFL draft. Now, if the season ended today, the Giants would be picking fifth in the draft as they dropped from second following their surprise win this past Sunday over the Washington Commanders. But either way, the Giants are going to be more than likely picking in the top 10 at the very least, to say it. It's a scenario where they've got to be looking and thinking about going quarterback early in the draft. And like I've said before, Giants general manager Joe Shane and head coach Brian Daboll are not attached at the hip with Daniel Jones because they didn't draft him; they inherited him. And Jones had the best season of his NFL career last year. Not going to take anything away from him on that. But he got that 4-year extension, but it was a scenario where, and it was very shrewd and smart on a part of Joe Shane, where there's an out after on that deal after next season. So, it's one of those where, in my opinion, as this season has been disappointing so far for the Giants, and then obviously it's been disappointing for Jones. And I know that the Giants came out of nowhere last year to make the playoffs and win a playoff game. And I do think that Brian Daboll's job is safe, in my opinion, heading into next season. But I don't think that Brian Daboll can afford to have another bad season in 2024. And because of that, I don't think that he can afford to roll with Jones as his guy for next season either. I mean, you're talking about Daniel Jones now in 59 career NFL starts, 22, 36, and 1 as a starter, 62 touchdown passes to 40 interceptions. He's got a completion percentage under 65, and he's been sacked 179 times. And with the exception of last year, basically every year that he's been with the Giants has been an injury plagued year. Now, I'm gonna say this: Shane and Dayball didn't want Jones, and I'd be hard. You'd be hard pressed to convince me otherwise. And I know that they took their respective jobs knowing that he was going to be the starting quarterback. Also knowing that the words that John Mara said last year, as far as the Giants haven't done right by Daniel Jones, basically, just to paraphrase a little bit. But nonetheless, you know, I'm still not convinced that they're convinced that Daniel Jones is their guy. And the 2024 draft is going to be an opportunity for both Shane and Dayball to get their guy, as this is hands down, in my opinion, this will be the most important decision that Shane has made so far as the Giants general manager. Now, an 8 to 10 month recovery for Jones means that more than likely he'll probably be ready for training camp next year. But the Giants should not hold their breath on that either. Will Jones be on the Giants roster next season? Absolutely, because of all of the money, as well as the fact that the Giants have an out after next season. So I mean, best case scenario for the Giants is that Jones is ready to go when the when training camp begins. Jones has a phenomenal year, and the Giants maybe possibly can move on from him. But I still think the Giants are going to take a quarterback early on in this draft, and they're going to find their heir apparent at the position. And again, no disrespect to Daniel Jones. I don't know him personally, but I think he comes off as a good guy. But at the end of the day, he was put in a bad spot by former Giants general manager Dave Gettleman. Daniel Jones was not a first round pick. Okay. And if you watched him play collegiately at Duke, he didn't have the first round intangibles. You're bringing this kid in sixth overall. And typically, when you're drafting players that high, you're on a bad team and you're looking for impact players that can help turn around the fortunes of your team. Daniel Jones is not that guy. He has to be put in the perfect scenario, if you will, to go out there and produce. And I think last year was the best case for him. The Giants' offensive line improved. Saquon Barkley had a strong season. He had strong coaching from Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka. And more importantly, he was able to stay healthy. This year, even when Daniel Jones was out there, it was not the perfect storm for the Giants. You're talking about in his 6 starts this year for Big Blue, 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, and he was also sacked 30 times. So I'm looking at it like this. This team, the Giants, they need a spark. And it's going to be interesting to see because, again, they're sitting at fifth right now. A lot of things can change between now and the end of the season. Obviously, the Giants game with the New England Patriots this Sunday at MetLife Stadium is going to be very telling because the Patriots are also in that mix for a top five pick as well. And there are rumors about New England possibly going quarterback as well. With that said, it's one of those where did the Giants take themselves out of the Caleb Williams sweepstakes by winning? Possibly, but I mean, obviously, nobody's going to come out and say that they're tanking, and I don't think that the Giants are tanking because you look at the effort that they gave. They're going out there and they're playing to win, and it's one of those where obviously Brian Daboll owes it to the guys on his team this year to go out there and get them ready to win, and those guys are playing to win because it's not a guarantee that any of those players are going to be on this team next year. So what is the purpose of them trying to say, hey, we're going out there tanking, trying to get ourselves in a position to get a quarterback? No. The Giants are going to try to do their part. They're going to continue to play hard coming down the stretch here in this season and obviously see how many wins they can get. But like I said, at the end of the day, they're picking in the top 10 at the very least, top five more than likely. But you got a scenario where if they're not picking in the top 2 or 3, they're probably not going to get Caleb Williams, in my opinion. But also, you still got solid quarterbacks coming out: Drake May, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix Jr. And you got to look at it like this: do those quarterbacks right now make this New York Giants team slightly better than what they are? I think they do. So it will be an opportunity for the Giants, more and more importantly, Shane and Dayball, to get their guy, get him in the building, and work towards the future. And I'll tell you like this: I think if the Giants, hypothetically speaking, do take a quarterback early in this upcoming draft, I think you're probably going to see Daniel Jones work harder, next season and have some of his best football if he's still on the team. And the reason why I say that is if the Giants do take a quarterback early, maybe Jones goes to the Giants and asks to be moved. I don't know. A lot of scenarios are on the table, and it's going to be very interesting. So for me, will Jones be the starting quarterback for the Giants next season? I'm not sure. There's a possibility he could have played his last game with the Giants just due to the fact that, hey, if they do take a quarterback early on in the draft, like most of us expect them to do, Jones is not a dumb guy. He can see the writing on the wall that the team will definitely be going in another direction. And does he want to be a guy that goes out there and keeps the seat warm for somebody else? Or does he want to take that opportunity to use 2024 to showcase himself for another team? We got to wait and see. But nonetheless, I think with an 8 to 10 month rehab ahead of Daniel Jones, I think it all but confirms that the Giants have to go quarterback early in next April's NFL draft. It's an unfortunate uh, part of the NFL. It's an unfortunate part of the game, and at the end of the day, it's a business like anything else. So let's see where the Giants are going to go forward at the quarterback position. Will it be Daniel Jones or will it be one of these young phenoms in the upcoming draft? Only time will tell. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.